Big Finish Audio, Lady Christina, Long Shot.
I
Well,
could
that's one
say,
way to get out of debt.
Yeah.
yeah, when you turn your debt collectors into the money.
Yeah, you double it up. You go, I'm gonna, I'm going to both kill the person who has my debt, so they can never collect on it, so that debt just sort of evaporates, and then I take them, and I have jewels, and I can fence those jewels, and then I have double money.
It's ingenious.
Oh, and interestingly enough, like it seems like he's like that one guy said, "Oh, that guy from the House of Lords." So he's at least a lord. He's an actual, full in the
Yeah.
House of Lords lord from what that guy was saying. Now, whether it's a hereditary peer situation or not, we don't know. But the fact that she's called Lady D'Souza, I tend to think that she probably, and with the death certificate now, like even though he's not technically dead, but for all intents and purposes he is, for all legal purposes he's a dead man. If that's the case, then she's actually, if he was a hereditary peer and she's got a death certificate, she's in the House of Lords right now. She's inherited,
Yep.
so she has a vote in the House of Lords.
That's kind of terrifying, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And I think they have some extra like stuff. I don't remember all the things that the House of Lords um, does. Like in terms of like, I know they get certain uh, privileges and stuff. Like here's some money and here's some this and here's this. Um, uh,
There's some free cotton candy.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they call it fairy floss.
Well, uh, they get like a stipend and some other things. Uh, via new financial support system introduced in 2010, members of the House of Lords can opt to receive an attendance allowance per sitting day of currently £313, plus limited travel expenses. Peers can choose to receive a reduced attendance allowance of £157 per day instead, or none at all. Peers from outside London could claim an overnight allowance of £174.
Damn. This is pretty impressive.
But again, I don't know everything there is to know about British politics, and the House of Lords is a foreign concept. It's like, oh, there's some people, hereditary peers is just sort of a. I understand that, yeah, okay, this person dies, you become their son or daughter becomes the person that inherits it. But, like, it's such a weird thing. And, and they probably, to a certain extent, can get away with things to a certain extent more than most people. Not maybe as law, but as practice. But that's an interesting situation now. She's there, and it's an
Maybe
interesting. Go ahead.
I said maybe that's an idea for their next Lady Chris.
Yeah, Lady Christina goes to the House of Lords, and the security nails everything down. She just goes in there, and they go in there, and everything is secured with like inch-long staples into things. Like, oh yes, or or I think it's the Parliament or it might be both. Like if they have a big like mace or something, like the big, not mace, but like the ceremonial like stick, like I can just imagine. I don't remember if it's I know I'm fairly certain Parliament has it. I don't know if the House of Lords also has it, but if they do, I just imagine it wrapped around the base with like the pin thing you have on a bank. It's just on the end of it. So if she ever gets near it, she tries to pull it up, and there's just this really, really. You think so little of me? Yes. uh, yes, we think that little of you. But yeah, the whole thing is sort of a. This is how we're putting Lord D'Souza on ice for a while. That way we can do whatever we want, and if we feel like bringing him back into the situation, we can. Then we could just have him wake up, or they find a cure or something.
Yeah.
We can do that, but we don't have to. If we make an entire series and don't mention him, or only in passing, technically okay, because that's the whole point of what she did, was he's not out and about turning people into gems. um so
Also, I do love that ending.
okay, I understand you going up there to, get answers, but bringing champagne, I mean, you know what kind of person Lady D'Souza is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, I mean,
and
she's going to try and trick you at some point. Just
and
Slightly.
keep calling her Chrissy. Just like it is so obvious.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work.
No.
um,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, lady. Yes, because Lady Christina is just going to do that.
It's worth a try, though.
I suppose, but but yeah, it's just like, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Of course, she's just going to troll you.
Both of them. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
She's gonna lead you on and then troll you. It's like that's what she does. And then she runs off to some far-flung area, gets involved in an alien tech again, and then you might pop up on the radar then.
Maybe.
We get kind of an interesting. This episode does have an interesting sort of way of telling its story. It kind of tells it sort of split.
Yeah, from each different perspective.
It's like, oh, okay, that's what she was doing. Oh, okay, that's what. Okay. Now that makes more sense. And
I did like that.
it does mean that less overall happened in terms, because like it's all just showing the same event but from different angles, so there's less events going on, but each event is explored from the different perspectives.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense afterwards, but
Yeah.
And only she could shoot somebody and not get in trouble.
Well, I mean, she did have Sam covering for her.
yeah, and it was, from there it was an attempted assassination, so she may not have, probably wasn't supposed to be having a gun around. But if she does and she protects the queen, from their perspective, it's like, oh no, he was an assassin. We got rid of him. Though that
No,
seems
no,
odd
no.
from a lord to try to assassinate somebody. But
No, it just turns out that he owed money to the queen.
oh, oh yes, you may have a fiver, but I want that back with another pound on top. The queen does charge interest. Her Majesty does charge interest. If you don't give it back, I shall take my bag and I shall beat you over the head.
Yeah, the queen's just like the biggest loan shark of them all.
Yeah, I'm just imagining she comes to visit him and like, you haven't paid me back my fiver. What a nice surprise, Your Majesty. Did I stutter? Where's my fiver? Well, I don't have any cash on me at the moment. I'll pay you back. No. Johnson, the scepter. Where's my money? I want those slips of paper with my face on it.
I guess the one thing that makes sense was, or maybe it did, I just wasn't paying attention, but an entire car turns into gems and there's not a crowd of people flooding into the streets.
There were, and that's what he
Okay.
said,
Okay.
because when he was getting berated by his supervisor, the supervisor said, "Did you at least pick up some of the gems to make up for the loss of the vehicle? Those things are expensive." He was like, "Well, I tried, but because I was going so fast, I ended up going flying, and by the time I got up, there was a crowd of people stealing all the gems."
Ah. All those. Well, it's nice to see it went from organic to inorganic matter.
Mm-hmm.
Which. So. He touches stuff and it turns into shinies, yet he can wear gloves.
Yeah, that was my thing too.
Perhaps they have gems sewn into them as a layer to protect the gloves from being touched by the other gems. Like if it does, perhaps like if King Midas wore golden gloves, it's like, oh yes.
Yeah, I'll give it that benefit of the doubt. That's the one thing that'll slightly make sense.
Yeah, that's my running theory. It's like, yes, a bit like the Midas touch. If you intentionally build them to be, movable. Yeah, it could have also had them built like, well, yeah, I'm thinking gems. Like the gems, it wouldn't turn gems into gems. So I suppose it could.
Yeah, because imagine going to the bathroom.
Oh my god. No. He probably already has like a crystal faucet down there. Just
What are the yellow stones?
Topaz?
Yeah,
sounds
he,
I
right.
think
he has
that's at least how it works in Diablo.
he has some he just drops some topaz every time he takes a piss.
Oh god. It's like no, just because you just hear like a rapid clinking sound like
Brings new meaning to the family, Jules.
oh dear god.
But
Oh, I'd hate to see his dumps.
oh good. Well, that's how he's planning on paying off his debtors.
Not
The ones he
true,
doesn't
but
kill.
I just thought of something terrible. How does he use toilet paper? I'm kidding, he wears those gloves, but still.
Yeah, but it that still is determinant on whether it's his entire body or just his hands.
That's true.
Because if it is a physiological characteristic, that would mean that it would be his entire body, anything he touches.
Yeah.
Which means he must have gems lining his entire clothes, which cannot be comfortable.
Ooh, kind of itchy and scratchy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah, and that's assuming that it does work across his whole body and it's not just his hands.
Oh yeah.
and that would really have to chafe on the legs. That it. I imagine it would feel like wearing raw chainmail, like nothing underneath it.
Ow. That is some major chafing.
Riveted. No.
Well, at least he doesn't have to worry about acquiring the gems needed.
Yeah.
That's true.
You want me to
Probably
line
just-
your, he goes to the tailor, you want me to line your suit entirely with gems? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
That is what saved the um the Romanov daughters temporarily anyways before they got shot in the head, but they were shot in the chest, but they had sewn gems into their clothing to protect them. I mean, not to protect them, but to pay, because they thought they were being sent out of country when really they were being sent to be executed. They didn't know that, so they sewed gems and jewels into their clothing so they'd have money once they got out of country. And because of that, it acted kind of like a bulletproof vest, and
Ooh.
the bullets just bounced right off of them.
It's like I am invincible. I am God.
And so eventually they were just shot in the head.
I'm not so invincible.
Because it's like, what the hell? Why isn't this working? Boom.
Let's see. Let's wrap this up real quick. Gems are shiny. Star Trek reference.
So who do you think would win? I mean, who do you think would be worse to face off against? A Borg or a Cyberman?
Borg, I'm thinking, because they have better technology and they can assimilate you faster. And yeah, they can just assimilate you with just reach out and stab you. I mean, I guess you have the whole Missy style, but for the most part, when they want to make a Cyberman, they have to do some serious surgery sort of things.
Yeah. Plus, the Borg sound more excruciating because the Cybermen, they just swap your brain for your they just put your brain in a robot basically.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're completely covered and armored. Whereas the Borg, it's a more agonizing thing where they implant things inside you. Plus, the worst part is the Borg you could come back from.
Yeah, that is well. That's one side of it, though. Is like, yeah, you could the Borg. That is one of the upsides of the Borg is that there have been people who have been brought back from that. You can't bring somebody back from being a Cyberman if they've been fully.
I mean,
Imagine how traumatizing that is. Like, to basically lose all the voices in your head at once. If I'm getting converted, I ain't going back.
once you go Borg, you ain't going back.
Exactly.
I'm going to make the executive decision and say, this is the end of the Lady Christina review. Until there's more. Which there's not at the moment. Thank you. And goodbye.